4,000 years ago, one civilization was solving problems we're still working on today. They created the world's first password system, designed body parts that modern doctors study in awe, and may have trained baboons to fight crime. But what we discovered in 2013, buried in a cave by the Red Sea, will completely transform how you see the ancient world. Today, we're not just exploring tombs and treasures. We're uncovering a civilization so sophisticated, so impossibly advanced, that every discovery forces us to rewrite human history. 10 revelations that will challenge everything you thought you knew about our ancestors. And number 10, it's going to blow your mind. Welcome to the real ancient Egypt, where the impossible was just another day at the office.
Discovery 1. Passwords for the Afterlife. Death in ancient Egypt wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the most dangerous journey imaginable. The Duat, their underworld, wasn't some peaceful afterlife. It was a supernatural labyrinth crawling with demons that had crocodile heads, serpents that could devour souls, and gatekeepers whose very names could destroy the unprepared. But here's what makes this incredible. The Egyptians didn't just accept this terrifying journey, they hacked it. The Book of the Dead wasn't mythology, it was a survival manual. Every spell, every incantation, every sacred name was essentially a digital password designed to unlock the gates of eternity. Picture a soul approaching a blazing-eyed demon guardian. Instead of cowering in terror, the deceased speaks the exact words, the precise name, and watches as the monster steps aside like a security guard recognizing valid credentials. Research from the Australian Museum reveals just how sophisticated this system was. Every gate required its own unique code. Every demon needed a different password. Only those who possessed the complete manual could navigate what was essentially the world's first supernatural firewall. 4,000 years before computer passwords, the Egyptians were already protecting the most valuable data of all, the human soul. But if their digital afterlife seems impossible, wait until you see what they were doing to living bodies. Discovery 2. The world's first bionic enhancement. Meet the world's first bionic woman. She lived over 3,000 years ago, somewhere along the banks of the Nile, and she was missing her big toe. In most ancient civilizations, this meant a lifetime of disability, struggle, and limping. But this was Egypt, so they built her a new one. Not just a decorative prosthetic, but a functional masterpiece carved from wood, wrapped in leather, and designed with such precision that she could walk normally, even run when needed. When researchers from the University of Manchester tested this ancient prosthetic, they discovered something that should make modern doctors stop and stare. It wasn't just for show, it was actually used. Worn down by years of walking, shaped by the pressure of daily life, marked by real-world functionality. This woman, whose name is lost to history, was wearing technology that some modern amputees would envy. 3,000 years ago, National Geographic's analysis revealed wear patterns and stress marks, proving this wasn't just ancient craftsmanship, it was bioengineering. While the rest of the world was figuring out basic agriculture, Egypt was performing reconstructive surgery that would impress plastic surgeons today. But their mastery of the human body was nothing compared to their conquest of time itself. Discovery 3. Masters of Time. The year is 238 BCE. Julius Caesar hasn't even been born yet. Rome is still a growing city-state. And in Alexandria, Egyptian astronomers are making a discovery that will revolutionize time itself. They figured out the leap year. While other civilizations watched their calendars slowly drift out of sync with the seasons, the Egyptians calculated something extraordinary. They realized that Earth's journey around the sun wasn't exactly 365 days. It was 365¼ days. The Decree of Canopus, issued in 238 BCE, officially proposed adding 1 extra day every 4 years. This wasn't guesswork or mythology. This was precision astronomy that required mathematical calculations rivaling modern computers. They were solving temporal problems that wouldn't be addressed by the Roman Empire for another 2 centuries. When Julius Caesar established his calendar reform in 46 BCE, he may have been aware of Egyptian astronomical knowledge, though the exact influence remains debated by historians. The World History Encyclopedia confirms what should stagger us. Egypt didn't just build monuments that lasted millennia. They built a calendar system so mathematically perfect that we're still using their calculations today. Every February 29th is a reminder that 4,000 years ago, Egyptian minds were thinking in terms that rival modern precision. But while they mastered time, they were also revolutionizing something even more radical. Discovery 4: Ancient Women's Liberation. Forget everything you think you know about women's rights in the ancient world. In most civilizations, women were property, traded like cattle with no legal standing whatsoever. But this was Egypt. The University of Chicago possesses a document that's 2,480 years old and would make modern divorce lawyers jealous. It's not just a marriage contract, it's a prenuptial agreement complete with asset protection, property rights, and alimony payments. In ancient Egypt, if a husband wanted a divorce, he couldn't just cast his wife aside. He had to pay her. He had to provide for her future. He had to respect her property rights, with legal documents that would be sophisticated even today. This wasn't progressive for 500 BCE. This was progressive for any century. While Greek women couldn't own property, and Roman women needed male guardians for legal matters, Egyptian women were signing contracts, owning businesses, and protecting their assets with legal frameworks that wouldn't look out of place in a modern law office. These weren't just marriage certificates. They were declarations of equality, written on papyrus, sealed with authority, and enforced by law. But Egyptian sophistication extended far beyond legal innovation into something that would revolutionize luxury itself. Discovery 5: The birth of luxury brands. Close your eyes and imagine walking through the markets of ancient Memphis, the air thick with exotic scents, frankincense from Arabia, myrrh from Somalia, and something extraordinary. Mendesian perfume. This wasn't just any fragrance. This was the Chanel No. 5 of the ancient world. A brand name so famous, so luxurious, so coveted that it was mentioned in texts across the Mediterranean. The Smithsonian Magazine reveals how scientists have recreated these ancient formulas, analyzing residue from 4,000-year-old perfume bottles and decoding the chemical signatures of fragrances that once graced the skin of queens. This wasn't just about smelling good. This was about industry. Supply chains stretching across continents, quality control ensuring consistency, marketing that created desire across vast empires. When Cleopatra seduced Julius Caesar and captivated Mark Antony, she wasn't just using wit and beauty. She was wearing the product of a sophisticated luxury industry that had been perfecting its craft for thousands of years. Ancient Egypt didn't just have perfumes, they had perfume houses, signature scents, exclusive formulas, and brand recognition that lasted for millennia. But if luxury brands seem sophisticated, their entertainment industry will absolutely shock you. Discovery 6: The world's first conservation program. 5,500 years ago, when most humans were still figuring out agriculture, pharaohs were collecting something extraordinary: the world's first zoo. Not just any animals. We're talking elephants, hippos, crocodiles, baboons, and multiple species of wild cats, all collected from across the known world as displays of royal power. But here's what makes this incredible. In 2009, archaeologists excavating at Hierakonpolis discovered evidence from around 3,500 BCE that should make modern zookeepers applaud. Veterinary care. The skeletons show healed fractures, evidence of medical treatment, proof that these animals lived for years under human care. This wasn't just a collection, it was a conservation program. Scientific American's coverage reveals the shocking truth. These ancient pharaohs weren't just displaying power through exotic animal collections. They were operating what appears to be the world's first organized animal care facility. Imagine 5,500 years ago, while most of humanity struggled with basic survival, Egyptian rulers were maintaining collections that required sophisticated logistics, international trade networks, and medical knowledge advanced enough to heal broken bones in wild animals. But their relationship with animals went even further into territory that sounds like science fiction. Discovery 7. Fashion revolution and social engineering. In the scorching heat of the Nile Valley, hair wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a hygiene nightmare. Lice, parasites, infections created serious health problems. The Egyptians didn't just solve this problem, they turned it into high art. The upper classes shaved everything. Men, women, even children went completely bald. But here's the genius part. They replaced their natural hair with masterpieces. Wigs so elaborate, so beautifully crafted, so precisely styled, that your social status could be read from your hairpiece. Made from real human hair or plant fibers, these weren't just accessories, they were statements. The more complex your wig, the higher your rank, the more respect you commanded. Imagine a society where going bald wasn't about aging, it was about sophistication, where artificial hair wasn't about hiding baldness, it was about displaying wealth and status. Ancient Egypt didn't just have fashion, they had what we'd recognize today as haute couture, complete with trending styles and social hierarchies built around appearance. But their most unusual innovation involved law enforcement that defies belief. Discovery 8. Animal partnerships in crime fighting. Visual. Picture this. You're a criminal in ancient Thebes. You've just stolen something valuable. You're running through narrow streets, heart pounding. And behind you, you hear something that makes your blood freeze. The sound of baboon feet hitting the pavement. These tomb paintings show what appears to be baboons alongside Magi officers in scenes involving criminals. However, it's crucial to understand these are artistic depictions that most likely represent symbolic power rather than actual police procedures. Egyptologists generally view these images as metaphorical representations of authority and control, not evidence of literal baboon law enforcement. Discover Magazine's coverage of animal symbolism in Egyptian art reveals how these images functioned as representations of royal power and divine authority. The concept of using animals in any kind of enforcement role remains purely speculative and lacks archaeological evidence beyond these symbolic tomb paintings. Whether reality or powerful symbolism, the very concept shows creative thinking about human-animal partnerships that was literally thousands of years ahead of its time. But perhaps their greatest achievement was literally beautiful. Discovery 9. Creating the impossible color. Around 5,000 years ago, while most of the world was limited to colors found in nature, ochre reds, charcoal blacks, plant greens, Egyptian chemists were about to change art forever. They invented the world's first synthetic color, Egyptian blue, a pigment so vibrant, so chemically stable, so perfectly engineered that it still glows with stunning intensity on tomb walls today. This wasn't accidental luck. This was chemistry. They took sand, copper, and alkali, heated them to precise temperatures, and created a color that had never existed in nature. The Indianapolis Museum of Art's analysis reveals the genius involved: the temperature control, chemical precision, and quality assurance ensuring consistent results across centuries. But here's what makes this truly staggering. They didn't just create one batch. They industrialized it. They produced Egyptian blue on a scale that supplied artists across the entire Mediterranean world. Egyptian blue became the first global color brand, exported to Greece, to Rome, to civilizations across the known world. All because Egyptian minds figured out how to transform sand into sapphire. But of all their incredible achievements, perhaps the most moving discovery was found just 11 years ago. Discovery 10, the Pyramid Builder's Voice. In 2013, researchers found something in a cave by the Red Sea that would transform our understanding of the greatest construction project in human history. It wasn't gold, or jewels, or royal treasure. It was a diary. The diary of a man named Merer, written 4,500 years ago on the world's oldest surviving papyrus. And it contains something breathtaking: the daily work log of a pyramid builder. Not myths, not legends, not royal propaganda, but actual day-to-day records of the man who helped transport limestone blocks for the Great Pyramid's construction. Merer writes about his crew of 200 workers loading massive stones onto boats.
Even dates and palm fruit that kept his team fed. Life Sciences analysis reveals something profound. These weren't slaves or mindless laborers. These were organized professionals with work schedules, supply chains, and management systems that would be familiar to any modern project manager. For 4,500 years, the men who built the pyramids were myths, shadows in the desert, nameless figures in history books. But Merer's diary gives them voices, gives them names, transforms them from mysterious ancients into people with jobs, lives, and daily concerns about getting enough beer for the crew. This single papyrus scroll transforms our understanding from mysterious ancient magic into the story of human ingenuity, human organization, and human achievement on a scale that still takes our breath away. So here we are, 10 discoveries that reveal ancient Egypt not as a mysterious civilization lost to time, but as innovators solving problems we're still working on today. From passwords for the afterlife to the diary of a working man, from synthetic colors to sophisticated legal systems, we've seen a civilization that was impossibly advanced for its time. The next time you see a pyramid, remember, you're not just looking at ancient stones. You're looking at evidence of human genius that challenges everything we thought we knew about our ancestors. And that genius, it's still inspiring us today.